we're going to talk just a little bit about a topic that I find very interesting, and I've done some research in it. We're going to talk about creativity. And first, let me ask you how many of you think you are very creative, and it's likely most of you think you are not. In reality, we're all very creative. We just have to find the venue and the mechanism to find the creativity in all of us, and hopefully this will help a little bit. Now, the question is, why are we talking about creativity in a Principles of Marketing class? Well, clearly we need marketing in all aspects of our marketing functions, such as creating new ads, creating new approaches to do our research, new research designs, new ways to do our sales promotion, and on and on and on and on. Now, does that mean we don't need it in other disciplines? No, of course not. We need it everywhere. Can we have creative accountants? Yes, and I know what you're thinking. We cannot have creative accounting. That's what gets us in jail and in trouble. But we can have creative accountants. We can have creative physicians. We can have creative auto mechanics. We can have creative mothers. We have creative everything. What we have to do is understand what it is, how to find it in each person, and then how to really utilize that creative venue that we all have. I'm going to just give you some quotes here, and there's nothing in any of these quotes that you have to know verbatim, just to kind of give you a background of this concept. And we have been trying to understand creativity for, well, generations, really. Many, many, many years. We've been studying in marketing. I've been trying to get my hands around this concept for about 20 years now in my career. Very challenging to do. This quote is from a Harvard professor, and of course if they say it at Harvard it must be right, yeah? 15 years ago, companies competed in price. Today it is quality. Tomorrow it's design. And that's very true. The situation today is that many companies, most companies, both product and service organizations, really have found a way to produce high-quality products. Not all of them, but many of them. Nothing like it was back in the early 90s when the total quality movement began out of Japan, when we really didn't have high quality across many industries. Today we do. So what do? Well, now we have to create a better product, a better design product, something unique, something different. So we have to go a few steps further. This is a quote from Edward de Bono, and I have in our class on your syllabus, you will see that there is a creativity YouTube video I want you to watch of his, and it's very, very insightful. He talks about the need for creativity, certainly in business. And one of the things he says in that, and please do watch it because it really is very thought-provoking, he says that excellence is not enough. Excellence is okay, but it's not enough. And to go beyond excellence in anything, we have to be creative. He also talks about the fact that we all are creative and that we should foster most of that. But here's this quote. Again, going back to the quality issue, quality without creativity does have a high value, so long as your competitor cannot also offer quality. But when your competitor can also offer quality, then you have to go further. Here's a quote from one of our astronauts. Again, I really like this. We make the world safe for creativity and intuition. For its creativity and intuition, that will make the world safe for us. So find that creative core in there, that little kernel of creativity, and go for it. Okay, I want to go over a few types of definition of creativity. And these are coming from some of the research that I've done in this concept. And I'm going to give you 3 types, and we'll talk about the differences in them. This is a person definition. Now look at the quote here. It's from 1950. That shows you how long we've been trying to study this concept. The abilities that are most characteristic of creative people. Well, that's not very helpful. What this is saying is go study people you feel are creative, find out what makes them tick, and that's what creativity is. This is a different approach to creativity. This is a process definition. This is what goes on up there in our heads and our brains, the brain processes, when we're being creative. And again, look at how old some of these definitions are, but that's okay. We're still trying to get our arms around this. How the new comes into being: the deliberate connection of two previously unrelated matrices of thought to produce a new insight or invention. A class of problem-solving activity characterized by novelty, unconventionality, persistence, and difficulty in problem formulation. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of this. We're going to do a little exercise here. And I'm going to give you a situation. And when I finish describing the situation, I want you to attempt to answer the question I give you. What I'm making you do is put together, as in that second definition, unrelated matrices of thought. I'm going to give you a situation that doesn't exist, never has existed, so you don't have the information, you don't have the answer sitting up there in your brain. You have to go out there and search for it. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to make a couple assumptions here. First of all, you know where Portland, Oregon is. It's out there on the west coast, south of Seattle. And second, let's think back to that old quote we used to say all the time: in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. All right, now let's assume that is correct, that Columbus discovered America in 1492, even though there were an awful lot of people here when he got here, so that's incorrect. But let's skip that for the moment. All right, here's a situation. Assume for a moment, I'll be ready. Oh, by the way, what I want you to do, in addition to answering what I give you, is try to watch yourself think. See what you do. See how you go through this process. You can do this. All right. Get ready. Assume it is the year 1450. Someone out around Portland, Oregon, discovers America. Given that change in history, what is this country like today? Long pause. Okay, I'm letting you think about that situation. It's the year 1450. Someone out around Portland, Oregon discovers America. Given that situation, what's the country like today? Now, what I'm allowing you to do is go in there and find ways to put that information together, come up with some solution. And typically, students say something like, oh, it was someone of Asian descent, they discovered it, we now have two countries instead of one. The Western country, whatever the name is, speaks Chinese, the Eastern country speaks English, and on and on and on. Okay, obviously there is no correct answer, that's not the point. The point is for you to think differently, to do critical thinking, creative thinking, and that's what that makes you do. So that's an example of this process definition of creativity. Okay, let's look at product definition. This is the outcome. This is what comes out of that second definition. So we've done this process. Now here's something we have as the output. Products which elicit a distinct set of aesthetic responses. Second one, products should have a certain stated uncommonness in the particular group being studied, and it must be realistic, it must have meaning. A product or response is creative to the extent that the appropriate observers independently agree it is creative. All right, now what's that saying essentially is that Professor Ramsey, as a marketing professor, can tell you if a marketing plan is creative, if a new product campaign is creative, but I probably can't tell you if a new design of a bridge is creative, because I don't know anything about engineering. Okay, so let's look at photography. You know I do photography, so I can tell you if something's creative, but I certainly can't tell you if an oil painting is creative. So that's what this response is getting at. Look at the product, look at the output, look at the outcome of the process, and determine whether or not it's creative. Okay, what are creative people like? And I'll let you go through these on your own. Willingness to take a risk, adaptable, flexible, self-disciplined, so on and so forth. The one that I want to point out to you, which perhaps is a little different because most people don't say this, is that it is whole brain thinking. Now think about half your brain thinking. How feasible is that? Unless you have some injury to your brain, half your brain never thinks all by itself. Now, does one side drive the other more? It depends on what you're doing and what the activity is. No one's ever thought with half a brain while they're being creative. The whole brain is engaged. Now, different parts of your brain do different things, we know that, but no one is creative with just half the brain. So let's think differently about that one. And finally, what are the barriers to creativity? And again, I'll let you look at that. But the worst one, I think, is this last one, I'm not creative. And when I asked you how many thought you were creative, I bet most of you put your hands up. I would venture to say you are. What I want you to do is go get one of those Edward de Bono books. He has many, many, many books on creativity. Go take a class on creativity if you have the opportunity to do so, and find that little kernel of creativity in there and go for it. Everybody is creative. Certainly in marketing we need people to be creative, but everybody should be. So we're going to move on and do some other things. So take care, and that's creativity.